If you haven't watched the previous video from Sakura's story, I advise you to watch it first. In it, we witnessed the big problem that Sakura and his friends faced with the Shechet Torin gang. When they went to inform Omiya of what had happened, he completely ignored the matter, focusing only on taking care of the planting. After that, a person named Tomiyama came in front of the foreign school to challenge them to a fight, or more precisely, to challenge the giants of the school, Omiya. Indeed, the two groups gathered and had heated arguments, and in the end, they agreed that each member of the Sakura group would face a member of the Tomiyama group. And in the end, Tomiyama and Omiya would face face-to-face the next day at noon. What will happen next? Will Tomiyama be able to take on the Furin giant, Omiya? This is exactly what we will learn in today's video. But before we start, subscribing to the channel and activating the bell button is necessary to encourage us to continue. Let's get started. Sakura gets scared when he remembers Tuma warning him about getting Tachibana into the fight. And now he understands why. Tachibana serves them food, and Omiya is happy and thanks her very much. After a while, he sits silently thinking about the topic of the Shechet Torin, and Sakura asks him about them. They disagreed in the past. Amamiya told them that they are a team, and their goal is power, so they do not hesitate to use their control to achieve their goals. There was a big problem between them in the past, similar to a war. Tamigami, their leader, also knows that what happened today is not new to them as they are known for creating quarrels. But the situation seemed to have changed thanks to Tamigami, although he did not explain to Sakura why. He told him that he would understand when he finished his speech tomorrow. No one understood what he meant. Sakura said that they were going to quarrel and not to talk, and Omiya replied that quarreling is also a means of communication, and that body language is sometimes more eloquent than words. After that, everyone left except Amamiya. Before they left, Sasaki stopped them, thanked them for their help, and wished them well. Everyone laughed, but Sakura was shocked and shouted that it was impossible for them to fight. Tachibana told him that he should leave it to them. Sakura was surprised and felt that Amamiya had said this sentence before. Sakura repeated the same sentence while embarrassed, and Tachibana was happy and impressed by his reaction. His face tensed and turned red like a tomato, and he felt as if he had never participated in a fight before. He felt very stupid, which increased his desire to win more than ever before. He went out for a walk with his friends, and suddenly he heard Umiyami's voice calling to Omiya, welcoming him to our private sector. He welcomed Omiya as he joined them in this battle. The two teams stood facing each other, specifically Toyama, who stood in front of Omiya with great confidence. Their eyes alone showed the intense determination between them to engage in battle and destroy each other, as was the case with the rest of the opponents exchanging sharp looks. Tomiyama was so excited that he ran down the street dancing and asking them to follow him, and even running if necessary to get there quickly. He couldn't wait because of his excitement. Sakura looked around, wondering how the area looked different from the Furin area, and noticed the proliferation of bars everywhere. Noticing Sakura's astonishment, Sue told him that there were a lot of differences between the Shiorin and Fiorin regions. Neri added, a little nervous, that the place seemed livelier at night than during the day. His desire to run was ignited, so Sue asked Sakura why he came with them. Neri was surprised by the question and assured him that he had been with them from the beginning and that he would definitely not leave them. He added that he is part of Furin, and even if he is not protecting them, he would like to become stronger so that he can at least protect Nayu's. Sakura gave him a sharp look, but in the end, he told him to do what he saw fit. Sue noticed this and laughed and told him that his face was turning red very quickly, which made Sakura angry and forced him to silence him. Then Tuma shouted at them all to calm down, stop fighting, and understand the current situation. Amima intervened, telling him to calm down a little, and that there was no need for all this anger at them, especially since Sakura and Neri were already intertwined. Neri insisted on giving Sakura a massage before the battle to get him into shape, while Sakura was screaming for him to leave him alone. Amamiya watched what was happening and started laughing at their actions, saying, "It is clear that these are a group of crazy people. Whoever brought them here is clearly not reliable." Suddenly, Tom Yama appeared from the street, shouting, "Where are you, group of children?" Guido then asked, "Where is the boy?" "Where is the useless boy who is not fully disciplined?" Everyone was surprised and stood in confusion, examining the place around them, astonished by the strange appearance of the area and the crows standing everywhere. Gutojami told them to come with him to the Sheshet Turin area. Sakura noticed them taking control of the stage, an anonymous stage with stairs, which they named the Urai district. Tommy walked in front of them and opened the door, saying, "Let's get started." As soon as the door opened, they were shocked by the sound of a massive noise and a huge crowd of Sheshtorin waiting impatiently to watch this crazy battle. The audience seemed bloodthirsty and longing for a bloody battle. Sue understood why they wanted to fight the battle here, while Neri felt like he had entered a monster cage and was afraid that he would not come out alive. But Sakura told him to look in front of him and not lower his head. Neri was surprised, but he immediately followed through on his words. Tomiyama began speaking, saying, "Now the very entertaining battle between them will begin." Amamiya commented that he was treating the issue as if it were a day of celebration and a big celebration. Then he looked at his friends and asked them, "Are you ready?" They responded to him, "Shame on you, President," Amamiya shouted and told everyone, "Do whatever you want without any restrictions." But Sakura interrupted him, saying that he had no intention of losing today, and Sugashita agreed with him. Neri was surprised by their confidence, and Tuma looked at Amamiya, who confirmed what he heard. Amamiya commented, "Really, they can be relied upon." Tomiyama started calling Amiya to confront him, but Gotogami interrupted him, saying, "Wait, the main confrontation celebration doesn't start now." Sugeisha excused himself to go first, especially since he had been giving unfriendly looks ever since he entered. Su said to him, "Sugashita, you have achieved what you want and you were able to stimulate it with your eyes alone." Amamiya agreed to face him first and let him go first. But before Sugashita entered the arena, Sakura called out to him saying, "Now is not the time, but we have to finish some things first. But I don't want to face someone who might easily lose among these boring kids here." Sugashita looked at him with astonishment and contempt at the same time, which angered Sakura, who said to him, "Please, do everything in your power to win this battle." Sugashita turned his back on him, went up to the arena, and stood in front of his opponent. The crowd and students of Sheshet Turin were chanting for Larima, the opponent, and demanding that he defeat Sochita and get rid of him. When Neri heard his name, he looked it up in his diary, that he was also strong in the past in the canine investigation diary. "Suichi is just like him in this matter. He will be fine and don't worry about it," Su commented. But Amamiya objected, saying, No, control yourself, because Sugashita-an will do what you don't expect." Neri was surprised by his words and confidence, while Sakura sat beside him silently, watching the arena, waiting to watch the battle between them. Arima stood in front of Sugashita, laughing sarcastically, and said to him, "Your eyes look angry." Sugashita got very angry, so Arima looked and called to Amiya. "What happened?" Arima surprised Sugashita with a powerful punch to the face, astonishing everyone. Rima provoked Sugashita, saying, "Don't look away while he is talking to you." But suddenly, Arima felt his arm being forcefully squeezed into a drawer. He started screaming. Sugashita told him, "You forgot to call him by his nickname and you disrespected him. He means a leader." Furwin Umema squeezed the arm he was hitting him with, then grabbed his face with his other hand and threw him to the ground before he could even deliver the second blow. Amamiya shouted and Tomiyama got excited while everyone looked on in shock. "This boy is so weak he doesn't even deserve to compete," Sakura said. Sugashita stood in front of him like a hero. Rima fell to the ground and could not get up from his place. Sugashita told him, "Next time, don't forget the nickname when you call Oimiya again." Everyone saw Arima lying on the ground in front of Sugashita, shocked and distraught by the sudden and crushing defeat. They started wondering among themselves if anyone knew this Sugashita, who turned out to be only a first-year student and belonged to the Verwin school team. Team Furin was proud of him, while Neri was in a state of astonishment and disbelief, wondering how he could defeat Rima with just one hit. As for Gutojame, he was disappointed and surprised by the result of the first confrontation between the two teams. He said to himself, "Why did you start the confrontation in the first place, Arima? You have brought me frustration." Suddenly, he noticed someone clapping from among the Shechet Turin group. Everyone looked and saw crazy Tomiyama clapping and congratulating Sugashita, saying, "You are so wonderful." Gotogami sat next to him silently, trying to put up with Tomiyama's loud antics. Tomiyama almost ran to Sugashita to ask him his name and ask him to fight with him after he finished with Arima. Gotojami got angry at him and said, "Come now. Your problem is that I have been silent for you since the morning." He grabbed him by the scruff and forced him to sit in his place, saying, "Sit down and wait for your turn." Neri witnessed all this and felt so afraid. He returned to the team. Amamiya said, you're fine," and he congratulated him. "You're still as violent as usual, thank you, Commander." Tuma checked on him and asked him about the condition of his face, whether he was fine and whether he was affected by the confrontation. Amamiya joked, "Do you want me to punch him in the face like that?" He added, "He was always strong, and it was not easy, and I am very proud of him." Tuma replied, "His face is not affected by the confrontation yet, and it is best that we give him some rest." Neri expressed great admiration for him and his steadfastness, as he was fine and in full health despite receiving a strong blow, but Sakura commented, "That's normal. I'm not surprised at all." Neri was surprised by his reaction and why he wasn't surprised, so Sakura explained, "That's because I fought with him before, and I know how strong he is." Everyone laughed at him because he did not mean to praise him, so Sue laughed and said, "You mean to thank him and praise him, right?" Sakura got angry and upset, saying, "I'm just saying that I know how stubborn he is in fighting, nothing more." Amamiya noticed Tomiyama calling out to Kuma, whose turn it was, and asked him, "What do you intend to do to beat up the hairy professor over there?" And when he didn't answer him, he kept calling out, but Kuma didn't respond. "What a weirdo," said Amima. Suddenly, Tomiyami jumped up and said, "Let's start the second round." He pointed to the two sitting men and asked them to clean the yard while pointing to Arima lying on the ground. Kuma, whose turn had come to fight, was sitting biting his nails out of anxiety and fear. Tomiyama ordered them to quickly clean the stage, so they rose to carry Arima. But his weight prevented them from carrying him properly. They dragged him off the stage like a bag of garbage. They beat him because he was always causing trouble and causing strife. But he is just weak and lying on the ground. They bully and insult him. After that, they leave him. Neri is shocked by their actions, so he walks away from Sakura, expressing his dissatisfaction with their actions. He warns them that their voice is very annoying and advises them to remain silent, without celebrating themselves, as he feels embarrassed when he watches their actions, and tells him that they will never understand until they are punished, says one of them while trying to grab his shirt, warning him not to try to impose his opinion on them. But Tommy tells him over and over again that he's not the right person to confront this boy, and demands that he put his hand down immediately. He calls the next person in line, and it's Sue and Kuma, who looks terrified alone. Sue mocks him, saying, "You seem very nervous. Didn't you relax your muscles?" Wakuma replies, "You'll soon see what I'm going to do to you." But it later becomes clear that his words and actions are just a facade, and this is what makes him believe that he is special. Sakura surprises him with his words, so he tries to hide his anger and tells him to finish quickly and leave. Kuma goes up to the arena, and Sakura asks Neri about Sue, and Neri replies that he has been known for his strength since the beginning of high school, and that there are not many details known about him. Sakura is surprised that he doesn't know anything about him, so Neri explains that he's heard his name a lot but doesn't know anything about him either. "I don't know much about him," Amiya adds, "but it was clear from the first meeting that he is a good, strong boy." Kuma says that he was upset because of his friend, so he explains what happened, saying, "Arima is at fault, but I was always with Arima, and anyone who bothers my friend, catch him and beat him." Sue responded sarcastically, "You seem to be the victim and act like a child, and you seem to have had a difficult childhood." Kuma gets nervous and begins the confrontation with all his might. Sue extends his hand towards him, and suddenly he throws it aside and dodges his attack. Everyone is surprised by this strange movement, and Sue says to him, "This nervousness would be nice if it were from a small child. But now I am offering you, Kano, to come with me and take a step on the ladder of maturity." Neri doesn't understand what happened, and wonders how Kuma could have done that move so quickly. He tries to read Sue's movements more quickly to beat him, but Sue holds his fist with his hand and spins his body on the ground. Tomiyama gets excited about what is happening, and Kuma falls to the ground. Sue laughs. This time it was a complete failure. Kuma gets angry and quickly gets up to hit him with his leg, but Sue wraps his leg around his arm and flies up and hits him with his leg, so Kuma falls to the ground, not understanding what is happening. Sue laughs at him and says, "I'll ask you a question," and begins by asking him what key he needs to become a mature person. Kuma does not understand what he means and feels that his words are strange. He gets very nervous and shouts at him, saying, "Stop this nonsense, no one understands you." Tomiyama is bored with the confrontation, but Sakura notes that this situation makes Sue's opponents look like retards. Kuma gets tired and curses Sue with hatred. The fans denounce Kuma's actions and demand that he stand up, continue fighting, and stop mocking and belittling him. Kuma is surprised by their words, thinking that they think he is not attacking So, and they do not realize what is happening. Even if he tried to push Sue, he would pull him, and if he tried to pull him, he would grab him and spin around in the blink of an eye. Amima laughs and says, "He is not a good boy, much worse than that." Sakura says, "I don't feel good from him, and his personality is very bad." Neri is surprised by his words, and Sakura continues his sarcasm, saying, "He weakens his opponent as if he is living in hell, and makes him appear foolish in front of people. The poor thing is forced to confront despite the difference in strength between them, and tries to attack him every now and then. If I were in his place, I would choose death instead of continuing this." The play. I'm sure you have certain thoughts when you watch the students of Sheshet Turin, but I am amazed at your extreme emotionality, Toma says. It's definitely one of those cases, isn't it? When there's a certain person who doesn't show a certain side of his personality, and then he suddenly reveals it, Amima explains. This causes Sakura to call out to Neri, "Hey Neri, what do we have to do to get Sue to fight seriously?" All this is happening and the battle is continuing, and Sue is still eluding calm. Sue runs around Kuma, who occupies the center of the square, crawling until he swallows dirt. The crowd gets angry and demands that he stand up and continue fighting. Kuma pulls himself together a little and looks down the stage to find Tomiyama asleep out of boredom. Kuma is shocked by the scene and feels that he cannot continue. Sue approaches him from behind and says, "Did you find the answer to the last question?" It looks like he's about to reveal something new, but Kuma loses control of himself and says, "That won't happen, I won't lose." He gets up like a madman to attack Sue, but he collides with his body and feels his breath suffocating. Sue laughs a malicious, provocative laugh and says, "How about you think that I'm the one controlling everything?" This ends the video. If you want to know what will happen, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive the new video as soon as it is released. I hope you liked the video. See you in the next video. Peace.